Huh? He walk all the way here? All right. First things first, you can't sit at my table like that. You can't sit with your back to the door. Come on. And you're gonna know somebody creeping up on you. All right, see that? Now you can see everything.
His head is down. We've got a medium shot here with a pink wall in the background. Pink throughout this movie is a very high indication of the love and compassion of those around Little. And you can see that Juan tells him,
You can't sit at my table like that.
so he switches him to a different position. He does this switch to a different chair. The background changes. And you can clearly see that he's got blue furniture. Blue is a very strong symbol for being very comfortable with yourself. And blue is also very apparent throughout this entire movie around specific people that Little comes into contact with.
Saw your mom last night.
I hate her.
Yeah, I bet you do. I hated my mom too. I miss her like hell now, though. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
It's very easy to see now at this point why Juan is so connected to Little, and it's very much so due to the fact that Little's mother is going through a drug abuse situation, and that is the same thing that Juan's mother has gone through. So they sort of feel each other on that plane of emotion.
What's a faggot?
A faggot is a word used to make gay people feel bad.
Am I a faggot?
No. No. You could be gay, but you never let nobody call you no faggot. I mean, unless...
How do I know?
You just do. I think.
You'll know when you know.
Hey. You gotta know right now. All right? Not yet.
Do you sell drugs?
Yeah.
And my mom. She do drugs, right?
Yeah.
So following up with medium shots from here on out, Little proceeds to ask Juan, what is a faggot? This is obviously due to the fact that Little gets bullied and people trying to make him feel bad as he's clearly figuring himself out. So when Juan is propositioned with this question from Little, he actually looks over at Teresa and the camera does not cut to Teresa's reaction or her perspective. This is obviously showing that this question is specifically directed towards Juan. It's almost like we're pressuring him to give us this answer. The camera does not cut to Teresa at all. This is strictly on Juan to answer.
Am I a faggot?
No. No. You could be gay, but you gotta let nobody call you no faggot.
To the audience's thinking of who Juan is as a character, considering he is a drug dealer, you may think that he would say, no, you're not a faggot. And that's because to a normal standpoint, you would project for a male character to not want to be gay. But due to the fact that Juan sees Little as his son and is more on the father figure side, he tells him, you could be gay, which is indicating it's okay to be gay and be comfortable with who you are and who you want to be.
How do I know?
You just do. I think.
You know when you know.
Juan does what anybody else would do and tells him, you'll just know. It will come to you, because something like that isn't a green light that goes off saying, hey, you're this. And Teresa also backs Juan's claim on that.
Do you sell drugs?
Juan does a pause, and he actually looks over at Teresa, and once again, it does not cut to her, and we don't see her reaction to this question as well. Juan then proceeds to put his head down, because at this point, he realizes where this conversation will go from here.
And my mama. She do drugs, right?
Juan does not make eye contact with Little from this point. He is the reason Little's mother is the way she is. He's making his living selling drugs, and she is dealing with her problems using drugs. Little shakes his head side to side. This breaks the trust barrier Little had developed with Juan. Even though he's not his biological dad, it's still that connection there because he's done so much for him and taught him so much. He puts his head down in depression. It kind of makes everything go backwards almost, because he doesn't know, what to believe if he was doing anything to actually help him. With that being said, Little actually gets up and he leaves the premises. From there, it's just Juan sitting with Teresa. He's just letting the waterworks go.
Moonlight, a film following a man throughout several stages of his life and self-discovery, has many meaningful scenes. However, there is one specific scene that further conveys the real message of the film. When young Chiron, then nicknamed Little, began to trust Juan as a father figure, he began asking personal questions. In this scene, Little has found comfort at Juan and Teresa's house. This is when he begins asking questions about whether or not he himself is gay and his mother's developing a drug addiction. In this simple scene, the film's first part comes to a close as Little understands the dynamics and influences of his life as a young black child in a struggling community. It is almost as if he has his life figured out to that point, as Juan has encouraged him to be himself and not worry about the mysteries his own identity present to himself. As a child in that moment, Chiron understands why and where his life has taken him. However, this is only a cruel deception for him, as his life quickly unravels once again, continuing on into the film. In his adolescence, after enduring endless bullying and an assault ordered by his longtime bully and carried out by his secret crush, he decides to fight back and take his life into his own hands, and then once again having the rug pulled out from under him as he is arrested and taken to prison. Even earlier on, the film shows Chiron beginning to accept his personality as he shared an intimate sexual experience with said crush, and then this leading to the assault. Then, in his adulthood, as Chiron begins to come to terms with his identity and drugs surrounding his life, he visits his mother in a rehab facility and faces a moment of closure from his childhood and the abuse he endured from his mother. And finally, we see this message once again as the film concludes with Chiron and Kevin once again sharing an intimate moment, allowing the viewers to infer Chiron coming to terms with his existence in all past, present, and future. However, in order to fully understand the pattern of self-discovery in the film, one must understand how the earlier scene creates a domino effect in which the false peace he found as a child influenced his future experiences.